Hello and welcome to the Project David podcast. My name is Frank Tynan and I've been invited by the Twilight Community Group to host today's interview. Twilight Community Group are a non-profit group who are focused on promoting inclusion, integration and advancement of all members of our community. The Twilight Community Group has initiated Project David, which promotes visibility and awareness of all LGBTQI issues and receives funding from the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. Full details on Project David and the Twilight Community Group can be found at www.twilight.ie. I'm pleased now to welcome to the Twilight Community Group studios here, Michael Ryan, who is our guest on today's podcast. Michael.
Hi Frank, how are you?
Nice to talk to you. Thanks for coming down and sharing your story with us.
No problem at all.
I suppose maybe a lot of viewers and listeners to the podcast will know you from TV because you've had a very successful appearance on a very popular programme called Glow Up on RTE.
I did. I was in season 1.
Yes, and well done. You got to the final. Fantastic achievement. What was the whole experience like of being very involved in TV for a period of time?
It was definitely a whirlwind. The whole thing happened quite quick, so I got the call to audition for it kind of late June last year. So I was in production and they put out a casting call and I kind of put my name forward for it, and after that it kind of like snowballed really quickly. So we started shooting in late July then, so it was only really a month in between being cast and like going on the show, and we filmed for 3 weeks together. So obviously it was filmed during COVID, so we all had to live together as well. We only finished filming in August and it was on TV in September. Like the turnaround was so quick, so it just really felt like a whirlwind.
So again, I suppose maybe just like your whole interest in makeup in particular, where did that originate from and how did you?
So I started like getting into makeup when I was like maybe like 19 or 20, and obviously like coming from like, you know, rural Ireland, yes, you don't really see a lot of guys wearing makeup or getting into makeup. So it wasn't really until I moved to Dublin to college that I started like experimenting with makeup. And is through my housemates when I lived in Dublin. My housemates are really into makeup, so I started kind of like, you know, playing with her makeup and like doing makeup on each other. And then the college I was in had a makeup course, so I started hanging out with the people who were studying makeup there, and I kind of like skyrocketed from there.
And again, I think you were studying journalism, is that right? And you changed over. Yeah. A very interesting choice.
Yeah.
I mean, why journalism? Why would you have been interested in journalism?
I just really wanted to, like, I have a love of English and like writing, so I kind of wanted to go into writing. But then obviously makeup took over, and I think it was both creative crafts, so it's still there. And
you I mentioned there about growing up in rural Ireland. Like, what was it like back when you were 19, 20?
I think there were different times. My experience, my personal experience growing up, probably wasn't the best. There was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of like, you know, I think like most people, like most kids get bullied growing up, but like if you're being like very obviously gay in small rural Ireland, you kind of become a target a lot. So I definitely was like just biding my time until I was like time to go to college and I could like escape. But I think so I moved home during COVID, and that was my first time living back in Kilkenny again since I was like 18. And I kind of think I was very fearful coming back because I was like, didn't really know if the same people that were like bullying me when I was growing up were still going to have the same attitude. But like, I was happy to say it's changed a lot since then.
And how did you yourself cope with that whole stressful, difficult time of being bullied and so on? Because I know now that you're very interested also in mental health, and you do a lot of work yourself. Yeah.
I definitely had to kind of just keep my head down and kind of get through it as best I could. Obviously, I had a lot of struggle with mental health when I was growing up as well. I kind of suffered from an eating disorder for a lot of years, and that was definitely my coping mechanism to get through the bullying, was kind of taking control back of my life through like the eating disorder. But yeah, I think it was a struggle.
And I know that you're obviously a DJ now as well, and was music an important part of your life growing up too?
Yeah, definitely. Music has always been like my first kind of love. So you can get lost in music, especially if you're like that troublesome teen period. You can just get lost in music.
In relation to how you might feel about, is there an urban-rural divide, Michael, in relation to how you were treated, for example?
Yeah, well, it's definitely. I think it's easier to be a queer person in a bigger city because there's a sense of community there. You have like-minded people around you. A lot of times, like growing up as a queer person in rural Ireland, it'd be very isolating. Especially if you haven't got like-minded people around, you can kind of feel like you're on your own a lot. So it's just much easier in a bigger city.
Like it sounds to me as well that maybe there was a lot of fear involved too, was there, when you were kind of growing up and
Yeah, when you're growing up, it's kind of like growing up with the secrets, because I didn't come out until I was like 19.
Yeah.
So like even through all the bullying and stuff, it's really hard to like go to someone and talk to someone about that if you can't tell them why you're being bullied. So it you really kind of isolates you, and you kind of feel like you're on your own.
Obviously, the whole idea of Project David is to provide some new supports. What kind of supports do you feel maybe that Project David can enhance in relation to, not going through what you had to go through?
Yeah, I kind of think it comes back to the sense of community. It's just having to know that there's someone there that you can talk to, and there's like-minded people around.
And again, I suppose, looking forward in relation to maybe how more people can get involved, maybe to support what Project David is trying to do, what would you advise, or what would you?
I think running events for young kids to like meet friends and to meet like-minded people. Also, like there's like a lot of creativity in the scene in the LGBT community. So like running workshops and stuff for teens to experiment with like their gender expression or drag is a good event.
And maybe just to ask you again, maybe what advice would you give to somebody maybe perhaps at the moment who might be watching the podcast or listening, who maybe find themselves like you did? Maybe would you give them some advice?
Yeah, I'd say just know that you're not alone. There's so many different resources out there that you can go if you need to talk to someone, like obviously Project David and the Twilight group here, but there's like forums online, and just go and find your community.
We mentioned before our chat that the whole COVID-19 experience has been a difficult challenge for everybody in Ireland and globally. But again, for yourself, I mean, did it maybe, how did you cope with the whole COVID-19 experience even?
Especially working in the nightlife sector, like my whole career was taken away from me for 2 years. So I had a lot of time to kind of like sit by myself and think about like where my life is going, and that definitely brought its own fair share of mental health struggles. And
did you do, I was reading maybe online
I was doing some online makeup courses during.
It's really interesting. How did that go for you?
It was fun. It was nice. I definitely think I'm over my Zoom period now. I don't want to sit in front of Zoom anymore.
Globally, everybody's over Zoom.
There's a lot of times like spent sitting in full drag in my sitting room in front of a camera, which is a new experience. Yeah. But it was nice that even through the whole COVID thing, people still found a way to like connect with each other.
So I suppose now that we're coming through, hopefully, the end of that difficult period of COVID-19, what are your own hopes and plans?
I think going forward from here, I definitely like my love of makeup has been reignited, because I kind of like got more into drag and more into DJing. So I think my love of makeup is back now. So I hope to like get out some more creative content online in the next year or so. And
maybe more TV work.
Maybe some more TV work, yeah.
Michael, it's been wonderful talking to you on behalf of Project David. Can I thank you for your time?
Thank you so much for having me, Frank.